What's up guys, Murali here, and in this video I wanted to talk about how to read more. Especially in today's day of like the internet and stuff like that, I think the amount that people are reading has decreased a lot. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or not, but personally I feel like there's a lot of benefit to reading, and I think it's a habit and a practice that can help our lives out a lot in terms of gaining wisdom, knowledge. And I'd like to make a video explaining how to increase this habit in your life if that's what you want to do. And so first off, to begin this video, I'm going to start with the benefits of reading. To begin with, there are actually a lot of therapeutic benefits to reading daily or at least regularly. There was a study done by Liverpool in 2010 that showed therapeutic benefits of reading. So in this study, over a 12-month period, they had their patients with depression who read regularly showed a significant improvement in their mental health. Additionally, there are a lot of cognitive benefits to reading. Mainly, while you're reading, you have to critically think through what you're reading. Just because you read it doesn't mean that you actually understand it, right? You have to reread it, and you have to really process and think through what it is that you're seeing on the page. And practicing that skill improves your critical ability. It serves for memory improvement as well. So say you're reading a fiction book, then all the characters and all the plot lines of the story, that's a lot of details that the author is giving to you. And in order to really understand the story, you have to remember all of those details. So reading helps with your memory improvement. And then in the long term, there are other health benefits that can help you. Reading before bedtime reduces the amount of blue light emission that you're seeing right before you go to sleep, which can then improve the quality of the sleep that you're getting. And then that improved sleep will help you in the long term with your health. And finally, I think this might be the most important benefit of reading, is that it can serve as entertainment. It's just fun to do. So the main competitor to reading right now, I think, is the internet in terms of social media, stuff like Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, where you're getting entertainment and media, but in very short bursts. And the difference between those forms of media and reading is mainly how in-depth you have to go. For reading books or articles and stuff, you're reading at least 1,000 words, and that's a lot more than the 250 characters that you get in a Twitter post. So in order to really sit down and process that, it takes a lot of time, and that's the real barrier between this form of entertainment and that form of entertainment. Also, in terms of critical thinking, we often get stuck in our own mindsets while we go about our day-to-day lives. And I think reading can help us view stories and events from other people's experiences. If you're reading a fiction book, you can learn to view an event from the perspective of the main character, or the other character, or the side characters. And if you're reading a non-fiction book or a biography, you can learn the author's perspective or the perspective of a historical character and see what other people are feeling. I think that'll help increase empathy and just recognizing that other people's perspectives are valid and important. Okay, so I just went through the benefits for reading, and now we'll move on to how to actually start a reading habit. So I made a video on how to build habits a while back. I'll link it somewhere around here. But the first step towards building a habit is to make it as easy as possible to start. Yeah, you want to reduce the friction between you as you are right now and you opening a book and reading. And so in order to do that, you want to make it as easy as possible. So one thing you can do is have books out that you want to read right next to an open reading chair or something like that. So if you make the books available to you and actually visible to you, it'll increase the chance of you thinking, oh, I want to read now and I have the opportunity to do so because I see these books out here. Also, once you've started reading, it can be really easy to get distracted by having your computer or your phone or the TV around you. So in order to reduce the amount of distractions that you have while you're reading, I suggest designating a reading spot. A spot that you come across often, because you want to walk past this reading spot often so you get the urge to read more often. But you also don't want there to be other distractions around. So I suggest designating a reading spot like a chair or a couch or a sofa that doesn't have a TV next to it or your computer or your phone next to it. I have a chair in my room that looks out the window, and I have it faced so that you can't see my computer from it, and my phone is usually far away from that spot. So once I start reading, there aren't many distractions that prevent me from continuing to read. The next step to building a good habit is to start small and set easy goals, right? So if your goal is to, say, read 50 books in a year, you don't start out your habit by setting the goal of reading 50 books per year. Instead, you should set a small goal of, say, reading 15 minutes per day. And the way that'll work is 15 minutes might seem like a small amount, and that's because it is. It's not too hard to reach 15 minutes a day of reading. But the hard part is stopping once you've reached 15 minutes, right? Because like with inertia, the state that you're in is the state that you're going to most likely be in going forward. So if you pick up a book and then read for 15 minutes, the chances of you actually stopping once you reach 15 minutes are pretty low. Chances are you'll keep going maybe for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, given how much time you have. And the idea is that as you read for these 15 minutes every day, you will eventually pick up the habit of reading more than 15 minutes. And that'll help you in the long term reach your overall goal of reaching 50 books in a year. And regardless, even if you only read 15 minutes per day, reading for those 15 minutes is still better than reading for 0 minutes. You're already improving if you just do that marginal step. Another goal that you can set in order to help you start reading often is to set aside 30 minutes a day before you go to bed. Again, just like the 15-minute goal, this isn't that hard to reach, and chances are you're not going to stop at 30 minutes. Also, it helps reduce the blue light emission before you go to bed, and it'll probably improve your sleep hygiene and just the quality of your sleep in general. Also, for this goal, the idea is to pick up a book before you go to bed and then just put it down when you get tired. You don't need to read for those 30 minutes. If you want to keep reading for longer because you're not tired, that's fine. And if you get tired after just 20 minutes, you can put the book down then as well. Another step you can do to increase the amount of time that you're reading is to reduce the friction between you and getting new books. One thing I think was amazing was getting an e-reader. So this is a Kindle that I use pretty regularly. I use it every day to read, and I absolutely love it. I highly recommend getting a Kindle or a Nook. I don't know if Barnes & Noble actually still makes Nooks, but an e-reader, like honestly maybe even an iPad. The issue with an iPad is that it's still blue light emission, whereas a Kindle has e-ink and it's not like blue light LED emission, so it's not as bad for your eyes in terms of eye strain. And honestly, in terms of pricing, I'd say it's a sunk cost because you buy the Kindle once and then you have it forever. And the only marginal cost you have is getting books every time. I agree that buying books can be, at least in the US, getting new books can be around $10 a book for the e-copy version. And while a single book might not be that much, over time, if you're spending money on a new book, say once a month, that's already $120 per year. And so if money is an issue in terms of that, there are a lot of apps that you can use to get free ebooks, whether that's looking online for your own PDFs or something like that, or you can download this app called Libby that works through the library system and lets you rent out books whenever you want from your library. And they have Kindle format books and a lot of high quality reads. There's often a lot of demand for the books, so wait times can be pretty high. Like honestly, the longest I've seen has been like 6 months wait time for a book because there's a lot of demand for the good books on Libby. And that's the difference between renting a book out and buying it. When you buy it, you can get it whenever you want and forever. You always have that book. But when you rent it, you get it for 7 days, and you might have to wait a bit in order to get it because there's a limited copy of e-books. I don't really understand how that works, but I guess there's a limited copy of these ebooks that libraries can give out to people. But overall, I think getting an e-reader, it reduced the friction to me reading a lot, and now I read a lot more because of it. So by following these steps, hopefully the friction between you and reading has been decreased and you'll be able to start reading a lot more. And finally, I wanted to address some stigma around reading, mainly in terms of mental stuff. And what I wanted to say is don't judge the way you read or what you read. If you're reading fiction because that's what you enjoy reading, continue to read fiction. Don't let other people say, oh, you're not reading biographies or you're not reading self-help books. Or If you see other people reading biographies and self-help books, you don't need to stress that you aren't doing the right, quote-unquote, right type of reading, because there is no right type of reading. I think the benefits of reading that I talked about earlier, the therapeutic benefits, they didn't say whether or not it was fiction or non-fiction reading that the patients were doing. They could read whatever they want, and the benefits still came, right? Do what you want to do, and don't worry about what others are doing. On that same note, don't judge how fast other people are reading. I think especially on websites like Reddit or forums like that, where people discuss reading, I think it's interesting. I've noticed that a lot of people post, I read so-and-so book in a week and I feel great. And while that might be impressive, the point isn't to read as fast as you can. The point is to read and enjoy what you're reading while also gaining something from it. If reading something like lightning speed makes you lose some of the information that the book is trying to convey to you, I think you've missed the point of reading. The point isn't just to finish, it's to get something along the way. And so if you read slowly, like me, don't worry about that speed. On Kindle, when you start a new book, they'll tell you the book is this many pages, and it takes most people this many hours to read. And if it's like 8 hours, I know it's going to take me a lot longer than that, because I am just a generally slow reader, and I like to reread passages in order to really understand what that passage is conveying. That's something I'm working on because I want to gain information quickly, but I am not stressing enough to be like, oh, I need to finish this as fast as I can. It's more of just an efficiency thing. Word of advice, don't worry about what others are doing in terms of reading. Just do what you want to do and at your own pace. All right, so that's all the content that I have today in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you pick up a book soon. If you liked this video, make sure to leave a like down below or comment. And if you want to see more videos like this about building habits, feel free to subscribe. Also, I'm an incoming medical student, so if you want to see any content about the medical school application process or my experiences in medical school, also feel free to subscribe. Peace, have a good day, and see you in the next video.